Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus. The age of heroes has dawned, and we continue to explore the path of public service. Today, we are speaking to Tenafly Councilperson Dan Park. Greetings and welcome, Dan. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
You are someone who has a very unique background. You've been on the council now for 9 years. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. I'm coming up on my 9th year, going for my 10th.
Well, congratulations. And you also work in government. So aside
Yes,
from your role in the council, you're also involved in local government on another level.
correct. I work for county government. I do their payroll. It's a heavy lift. We have about 3,000 employees, so it's a lot of paychecks to write.
Well, everyone's fortunate to have you writing them then.
Yeah. I know. I'll throw in elections like yourself. It's another 3,000 employees every big election, primary and general. So yeah, it's a lot of work.
Now, what started you on this path? Did you always know that you wanted to be in government? Did you always want to lead?
No, actually, it happened by pure chance. One of my friends asked me to go get involved in local government at the county level. So the way campaigns work here in Jersey is the state will organize the Jersey election. So I volunteered for Obama's campaign, and they send down their orders down to the state level, and the state Democrats organize the state, and the state will tell Bergen County, you guys do your thing. Here's some funding, blah, blah, blah. And then Bergen County will break out and do help local races in every town. So it's like a tier structure. And I volunteered for the county portion of that with the Obama re-election campaign in 2012. So I got to meet a lot of the federal, like Senator Menendez was up that year, so I met a lot of his staff. We had 2 county seats up, so I met the county folks through that campaign. And luckily, we took 2 county, at the time, freeholder seats. And I was hired to be a freeholder aide in 2013 when freeholder Tracy Zura was sworn in. And from there, it was off to the races. I loved what it was all about. Getting involved locally, making changes here and there. It was a lot of fun. And then 2013, I have the dates all messed up. Shama Hader of Tenafly reached out to me, knowing that I was involved at the county level, and she was involved at the local level in Tenafly. She asked if I wanted to run for council one year, and I did, and there it is.
The rest is history.
Exactly. Yep.
So you have a unique perspective because you've been in the position for quite a while. What are some of the challenges you faced when you first got the position?
Learning the learning curve. It's obviously very different from county government because of the funding differences. County government's budget's close to probably over $500 million. So when they have a department meeting on budgeting, it's millions and millions, 10 times as big as our budget. So that was a big learning curve, how to balance a budget just on a smaller scale. It's like, oh, we'll just hire another employee at the county, and it's just okay. It's just that's a decimal point, but to us, it's a comma. It's very different. It's very different. So it doesn't move as fast as you would like it to.
One of the questions I ask, and it seems like a simple or simplistic question, but a lot of people really don't know. What does a council person do on a borough level?
We actually we manage the budget, basically. We manage all the departments, and we fund whatever department needs the funding or whatever projects need to be funded. We move projects along. We take town in the right direction and make sure everything's running smoothly. things are going well, and whatever problems arise, we make sure we can get it done.
And sometimes it takes a while. Like I've seen some ideas discussed when I first moved back to Tenafly in 2014 or so. But the council does not let go. The council keeps going, and eventually these things come to
Yes.
pass. Some in a
And
short time and some in a long time.
yeah, and because I came from the public sector, I knew that the pace was very slow because of the way laws are written on how we operate, how state laws are written on how we operate, how we go out to find vendors, bidding, and the RFP process. So I was used to it. It's people from the private sector that get the culture shock of how slow government really moves. And we move as fast as we can. It's just we have to follow a lot of guidelines by the state, a lot of crossing your T's and dotting your I's, and making sure the complete process is done properly. So that's pretty much, and we only meet twice a month and once a month, and you need all 6 of 7 of us to make the vote to make it approve something, and that's it. And we just wait.
What do you like the most about being a council person?
Getting stuff done. That's the best feeling in the world. I mean, if someone says it doesn't stress them, they're lying. I mean, you take a loss here and there and it really brings you down. But that one you get across the finish line, that one project you've been working on to get across the finish line makes it all worth it. The time commitment, the energy you spend, the phone calls you make, the emails you write, the stress about it all, you get that victory, and it's all worth it. It's very fulfilling.
Aside from governing, what else do you find great about life? Like, do you have any
Great
hobbies?
about life?
Do you have any interests that occupy your time?
Right now, during lockdown, I used to hate golf, and all my friends play golf. My brother's a teaching pro, and that's all they would do. And during lockdown, nothing was open. I picked up a pair of golf clubs for some reason of sheer boredom, and I got the bug. So that's my new thing now. Outside of that, same old, same old.
Is golf really all they say it is? Like I've never golfed except at miniature golf, maybe once or twice in my
Yeah,
past. But
yeah,
people who are golfers swear by it. And they say
yeah.
that the process of hitting the ball and almost willing it with your mind to go into the hole. Do you find that about golf also?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So you'll play like crap for 4 hours, and that one shot you at the last shot of the day, and you hit it perfectly, you're hooked. That's the only thing you can think about, that feeling, and you just go back to that. Yeah, you can play for 4 hours straight, and one shot will be good, and that's all you'll think and talk about to your friends.
And what do you think the greatest challenges are for Tenafly in the present? We've been through the pandemic. We've been through so many world impacted events.
Um, that stuff that comes every once in a while. The storms. I mean, we get FEMA assistance. It's part of life, and we can't avoid it. But what we can try to mitigate is, and all towns are going to get this, not just our town, we're not unique in this, is just the amount we can raise in taxes and things we want to get done are going to come to an unfortunate dead end, I want to say, where
Okay.
we're going to eventually have to start looking into shared services to survive as a town. And it's just naturally going to happen. I get the little fiefdoms we all have in our boroughs, but I think eventually it's just gonna happen. We just can't afford to keep growing at the rate we're growing, especially with all the restrictions we're given at the state level. I mean, look at the state level health insurance premium hikes. Those are going up 20-something%.
Wow.
Staffing is just going to be harder and harder, and I think we're naturally moving towards shared services, and a lot of these we're not small, but a lot of the smaller ones are going to start having to merge their services. and it's going to affect us. We're not small, we're not medium, we're like right in between. But there are towns with 4,000, 8,000 residents that just won't be able to afford their police departments or their DPW workers with all the rate increases and costs. What they're going to have to do is figure out smart ways and to start sharing with their neighbors, and just that's it.
So it's always adapting and adopting new ways of doing things.
Right, finding and creating efficiencies. It's been done in other boroughs, so it's not foreign to anyone. You can always just call the state, the or the League of Municipalities, or there's so many resources out there. It's just when we're ready to do it, we'll do it. I mean, let's say one of our neighbors, Alpine, they're tiny. I mean, eventually everyone around us is just gonna get stuck at the 2% cap we all have, and it's just a natural way to evolve. It's just a part of evolution. It's not great, it's not bad, but it's just gonna happen.
Well, hopefully it'll take a while for it to happen, but yes, I can see that definitely happening.
I mean, there are boroughs in the state that have seen the writing on the wall. Princeton, I believe, merged with, there's a small town near them. I believe they merged police departments. Camden doesn't have a police force at all. They started a shared service with the county sheriff's department. So the city of Camden doesn't have a police department at all. Princeton merged Weehawken, North Bergen, and another town down there. I forget the name. North Bergen, Weehawken. I forget. But they merged fire departments. They just couldn't afford or get enough firemen to cover. It just didn't make sense to pay each individual town to pay for firefighters. So they merged and created a bigger fire department with separate houses, I guess. And there was assistance from the state to write up that contract. I mean, there's a lot of resources. It's nothing foreign. It's just when we're ready, we'll go that way. We just have to.
How has technology helped or hindered the ability to handle these crises?
It helps a lot. Everything being electronic now, you need less paper. Things are much more efficient. Scheduling, timekeeping. Like I do payroll electronically. I'm trying to get rid of paper at the county. We're doing hand scanners. We're doing fingerprint scanners. We're doing computer logins for timesheets. Like at our recreation, they schedule and do mass emails to their forget the program name, Community Pass, I believe it's called. All the scheduling is done there. All the emailing. There's no more flyers being sent to your house anymore. You're getting email notifications instead. Social media, we're trying to get into that, but it comes with its draws, obviously. But yeah, technology's been helpful. It'll when more and more vendors realize that there's need in the public sector, it'll grow.
Do you have any special area that you advocate for, like, for instance, the environment or services? Is there any particular, because I know you support a wide range of different things as a council person, but is there anything in particular that you really, really believe in and give energy to?
That's like saying who's your favorite child, isn't it? My biggest two would probably be, I don't know. I feed off energy of the volunteers that I work with.
Mhm.
So when the community garden folks are energized, I feed off that and support them as hard as I can. When the first responders have high energy, I feed off that and support them as hard as I can. It's whoever, like whenever the energy is right, I go hard.
And you've sat on very many committees, I'm sure.
Pretty much all of them, except the newer ones like DPW and maybe I never sat on finance, but pretty much all of them. Yeah. Yeah.
And in terms of a vision for Tenafly, do you have a vision for where we're headed and what we could possibly be?
A vision? No, I mean, because I'm so used to the rate at what government moves, it's so difficult to know what the next step will be. But if we go step by step, we get a general sense of what, like if I build a park, I know it's going to last forever. But
Mhm.
if I don't know that there's a park available to build, I can't predict that this space will be a park. You know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
it's so happenstance or so at the moment. I make my decisions knowing that this will last forever rather than this is where I want it. Cause I don't want it, the end goal. I want to know what we can do now that'll last forever and affects the future of Tenafly.
And before you found yourself on this path, and it's been a glorious path for you, what did you strive to be before then?
I was in between jobs. I was teaching and tutoring in Newark and in Pal Park, respectively. So probably teaching. I like education. Um, Teaching a young kid something that sticks with them really is fun. Uh, I I love just educating. Like when you talk with a little kid and you're like, "Hey, this is why this is like this," and it sticks with them. It feels good too. So that has been always a big thing with me. Um, well, probably tutoring and teaching. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great field. I've been in that field. I'm currently doing after-school programs in clubs, but I've also taught in community colleges. So
Oh
I
yeah.
have I've been on that path as well. It is
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah. Yeah. It's a great career. I mean, teachers are the best, to be honest. I mean, it's no other. It's just a different type of feeling, like a different type of joy when a kid can absorb something and move on and apply it to his life.
Now, a lot of people want to pursue a path of leadership in their community. And there happen to be in Tenafly many opportunities to get involved. What suggestions would you give to somebody who wanted to be more vocal and more active in the community?
So being more vocal and active are two separate things. Vocal, jump on Facebook and write on whatever you want and scream at the top of your lungs wherever you want on social media. Being active would be getting your ass volunteering or, actually making a change. I mean, there's tons of volunteers in town, nonprofits that do great work in town. Um, it's two different things. You actually want to do the change, or do you want to just scream on the top of your lungs and into the void and just rile people up, or do you actually want to get it done? So, I mean, look at you've been on at CAP meetings, have you not?
On which
The
one?
CAP, the chemical awareness one, where we do the anti-drug and alcohol for the students.
No, I
That committee?
haven't. I
No,
haven't been on that one.
but their message is don't do drugs and don't get drunk and drive for the high school students or anyone in town. They make sure that there's people in there's a speaker. Their fundings for speakers for the students. They make sure that project graduations is funded or they can donate to it. They make sure that parents are well aware they're doing actual work and their volunteers are the best.
And there's plenty of opportunities to volunteer too. You could also
Absolutely.
guest on committees, go as a guest, and if you have something to contribute, they may request you or you may get assigned to it.
Yeah,
I found
absolutely.
no shortage of opportunities in Tenafly.
None. And even if you don't want to volunteer, you do have an idea, or all our emails are out there, just shoot us. We can, I always, if it's, let's say I'm not like on the environmental commission, there's a woman who like her education or background, her job is in electric, infrastructure for electric EV cars. She uses terminology I have no, like she starts losing me, and I'm like, I thought I was smart, I'm not. And she'll go on a rant, and I'll be like, can you write that down so I can research it at least, or ask an engineer what the hell you're talking about and see if it's even feasible in town. And I mean, just shoot us an email with like, you're the expert in the field, and we'll look into it. It's that simple. We won't say no, you just look into it.
And that's a very good thing to know. A lot of people feel disconnected. A lot of people feel helpless or victimized. But there are always ways, especially in Tenafly. I've lived in very many different places. It seems like I'm living the longest in Tenafly, but the openness of the local government to involvement is really, really something to be admired about Tenafly, and something.
Yeah. I mean, we're not a, we're not, we're luckily, we're fortunate in the fact that we attract that type of talent
Mhm.
just through property values. We have a certain demographic and they're well educated. So we're fortunate in that aspect.
And you're selling yourself short. You're brilliant, Dan.
In comparison to some of the folks in Tenafly, I'm a monkey.
I wouldn't say that. You're brilliant. I've known you for a very long time.
I've spoken to some of these folks in Tenafly. They got more letters after their name with PhD, dog. They're
Well, anyway, you've impressed me and continue to impress me.
I appreciate that, Hercules. You've been a great friend in town too.
Well, thank you. Um, so where do you see you going in the future? Do you see you're running for office on a higher level?
Everyone asks me that. I don't. I've never. I don't have the. I don't strive for it. I don't go after it. If the
Mhm.
opportunity comes, I'd have to think about it. You know, it's just where I am in life. This suits my schedule. This suits everything. I don't think I could be mayor. I mean, if I were mayor, I would want to do it like a 9 to 5 job where I
Okay.
can really dedicate time to it. Like literally just sit in my office, make sure everything was going right. It's I don't take it lightly. If I were to do something more above this or more full time, I whatever it is, I would take it very seriously.
And do you get involved in campaigns beyond the town?
Oh yeah. Because of my start, um, I've always every year I've partaken in some sort of state level, county level, or federal campaign. Oh, every year, nonstop.
Right now, many of the rights that we've had for a very long time, and many of the traditions that we have had for a very long time, seem to be coming under attack or under question. I'm a firm believer in the system that we have. Do I believe it can be improved? Well, yes, I do believe anything and everything can be improved. But I'm a very strong believer in our democracy and in our democratic institutions. And one of the things I like about Tenafly also is that I have worked with people on both sides of the political spectrum, and several of the ones in between, several of the parties in between that you don't hear about very often. And regardless of their stance on a lot of things, their devotion to Tenafly is very, very apparent. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is something that's incredibly awesome, because we're not always going to agree as human beings, but if our dedication could be the same, then I have a lot of faith in things working out very well.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the data to prove it, but some of my uh some of my bigger supporters are Republicans in town, and I don't care. They're good people in town.
Mhm.
I, if I didn't know their party, it wouldn't matter anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's just a letter next to your name. And
Right.
at the end of the day, we want the same goal for Tenafly, and the other stuff, the national stuff doesn't really, I don't really pay attention. 2020 was too much for me. The news, it's just how does that affect what's happening in Tenafly? You know, outside of like tax rates and sucking and taking away salt, and that's we don't get involved with that. It sucks. We deal with it, but what we can do in Tenafly, we do.
Services have improved radically over the years I've been here too. Not that they were ever bad, but the new system of picking up the garbage with the recyclables, the trucks with the arms on them, that
You want
seems to
to
be working
you want
very
to talk slow? You want to talk how slow government is? That took us 3 years to implement.
yes.
That went through 3 borough administrators before it went live. It started with Jewel, it continued with Lizette, and then got implemented sometime before Jimmy. It took that talk about slow, that took years. It
But
took
it
planning.
happened.
Yes, but that's one of the examples of how slow government is. Took us years. And but yeah, I mean, that's why it takes it just does. You got to find the right funding cycle, you got to find the right time to do it, plan it, make sure we can seamlessly evolve into the next stage.
And our local government is also involved in continuously looking for and writing grants as well, which helps, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're unfortunately in a better socioeconomic place than most boroughs and cities in the state. So in that aspect, we're our own worst enemy, but you never know. I mean, you throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. I mean, for some reason, we got the $200,000 electric vehicle charger grant. We applied for it. I was like, we're not going to get it, but whatever. The grant writer took a stab in the dark, and we got it. So it's things like that. Got to go in knowing you're not going to win the grant and hope for the best.
And it's been my experience with grants is that if you hit the bullseye and then if you shoot around it, it's easier to get other other grants if you get a grant.
I mean, hopefully I don't remember the last time we won a fire truck grant. I want to say it was about 8 years ago.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's tough because we're all boroughs are the same. They all go through the same problems, the same funding problems. So it's hard for us to get back into that rotation. Tenafly got it 8 years ago, so they'll wait another 10. Tenafly's turn's coming up. I mean, we have a lot of competition. That's the base of the story.
But we have a lot of dedicated people, so we're ahead of the game.
Yeah, a lot of vocal and dedicated folks, and we're coming into a new congressional district. We're not going to be fighting with Patterson. We're not fighting with Passaic. We've got the North now, which is more aligned with our demographics, I want to say, socioeconomics as well. So maybe our new congressional district helps. I don't know, but we just came off a new census tract, so we'll see how we fare this year.
There have been a lot of other like service changes that I've seen in the decade or so that I've been here. One is that Tenafly has increased its services to seniors.
Yes. I don't remember what year we did it, but we hired a new coordinator, and we bought the bus with the driver. That was very recent, and now, I mean, look, it's still evolving. We're looking into a new center. They've expanded. Lockdown brought out more seniors to get out of the house and do more activities. People are aging in place. The new definition of senior citizen, I believe, is age 55. You're technically a senior citizen at 55.
Oh yes, I'm in my 60s, so I'm definitely a senior citizen.
Right. I mean, things are changing, evolving. We got to grow with it. We'll be slow, but we're growing. We're moving in the right path.
And the ambulance services are excellent. When my aunt was alive, she needed the ambulance fairly often, and they were always here within seconds. You know, phenomenally polite, phenomenally efficient, and very comforting.
Yep.
Presence and
that's I one of my favorite programs in town is them. I mean, in my circle of political friends, they're very jealous of how active TVAC is. They've been one of the most proud things we've had in town, because every town is so jealous that number one, we have an active volunteer ambulance corps, and number two, that so many kids in town get involved. New Milford just shut down their TVAC, their volunteer ambulance corps. Cresskill shut down a few years back. They had to go paid. It's just unfortunate, and we're for some reason we are very, very fortunate to have an active volunteer ambulance corps, and it's great for everyone. The people who call the ambulance and the kids who get the experience to ride on the back of one and get life experience at that age. It must be great for college transcripts. It must be. It's awesome. I've called them a few times for my own needs. My dog got bit. My dog got bit by another dog, and the other owner stuck his hand inside his dog's mouth, so his hands were all cut up. 2 high school students jumped out of the back of a rig, professional, taking notes. You okay, sir? It was awesome. It makes us proud, and I support them as much as I can. Make sure they're getting whatever they need. They're awesome. The leadership there is great.
And also there's a service in Tenafly that contacts old people, especially if they're living by themselves, to make sure that they're okay.
Yep,
That's
the
a great
coordinator. Yep, the coordinator. Yeah, she's active. I don't work with her that much. I know she was newly hired recently. I don't remember how far, a few months ago. I don't work with her, but from what I've heard is she's reaching out and doing great work.
And there's also the emergency that comes over your phone. Like if anything happens, if there's an emergency, you get a signal on your phone and you get an announcement.
Oh, the code red. Yep, that's been around. We fortunately during Corona lockdown, the rules changed for code red, and because we were allowed to give out Corona numbers, I guess the case numbers, that became way more active, and people started to sign up for it, and it's we've always had it. We've always used it for actual case by case, like if your street was going to get closed, we used it for those areas, and if a big part of town was going to get closed, we used it townwide. Like perfect example was the 5K run in town. We call the town, everyone in town, and say these streets will be closed, and it's because of Corona, it's been used a lot more.
And it's really good that we have not only the newsletter, and a lot of towns aren't sending out newsletters anymore. At least that's the feedback that I've gotten. We get a newsletter not only on the website, but we get an actual physical newsletter, which again, I'm in my 60s, so I'm stuck on some things. And even though I use technology, I prefer to have hard copies of things in my hand. And also there's a message from the mayor every single week. Which is again very amazing and very personal to talk to the town, let the town know what's going on and what things are coming up. So
yep. That's growing off of the code red evolution from the lockdown. We were allowed to use that, and just evolved into weekly messages.
Now I have a question, and I never asked it of anybody. The pond across the street from the police station.
Yep.
I forget what the pond is called. Pfizer's Pond? No, that's not Pfizer. Roosevelt Pond. When my son was little, I used to take him there all the time, and he loved it. And then when I moved back to Tenafly, I found that they had it was no longer friendly towards kids. There were a lot of total stalks growing. Very discouraging, and someone told me that it was to keep away the Canada geese because they had caused some problems Do you know what the story is of that, about that?
You are on point. It was rather than using chemicals or animals or hunting dogs to get rid of the geese, it was a natural solution. If you grow those stalks around the pond, their descent angle or landing, they're afraid of the stalks or something like that. They just don't like using it as a pond to eat and nest there. So that was a natural way of getting rid of them. Made sense.
It still makes sense, but still, I have all those memories bringing my
Yeah, I know. I
to the
mean,
pond.
people who've been here forever said I've never seen it in my 30 years here, but they said they used to ice skate on it in the winter, and I was like, that thing can't free. I can't imagine people ice skating on that tiny pond, but they swear by it and they say they did it, and I don't know how we get it to ice skating level.
Yeah, that I don't remember.
You know,
I'm sure somebody has photographs somewhere.
Jeff Grossman, Mr. Historian, Mr. History Jeff.
Oh, he would have the photographs?
Yeah, I think he's one of the guys who's ice skated there.
Now, what services do you see us needing in the future? Like with global warming, we've had 2 floods already in my basement. And it seems from what we've been following on the internet that it's not going to get any better because of global warming. This is something that's going to happen a lot more often.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just my gut feeling that we're gonna have a pretty harsh, snowy winter. So the state put out the new stormwater regulations. We're gonna have to work with the county and start mapping out the stormwater management plans, and it's something we can't do alone. We're gonna need buy-in from the county. I know is supportive of it. I've spoken to the county exec about it. We're just going to need to start partnering with everyone and start mapping these things out. It's just, we got to start studying it, make sure and change if whatever needs to get changed, updated regulations, we got to work on it and just do it. That's it. I mean, we can't, it's a big process. We can't just start buying people's homes to build dams,
Right.
you know, we can't rip out thousands of miles of sewers and redo it. It's not feasible. So the management plan's got to come from above us, and we just got to participate and make sure everything works out for everyone.
Because I'd never seen anything like this. Our basement was like at least 3 feet of water. And when we went on our porch, we couldn't see the street or even
Oh yeah.
the stream across the street. It was one big lake.
Yep. Your area got hit really bad. I drove by the day after, and you know how your neighbors have the driveways that go into their basement?
Yes, yes. We were wondering about them.
Yeah, and then if the driveway goes down, their cars must have floated up and the water twisted them, so their car stuck when the water disappeared. It was that Austin Powers scene where he has to back up the
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was that. I was like, how did you get your car out of that without destroying the bumper or rear bumper? You just drag it out. And I was like, Jesus, it must have been bad here last night. Yeah, your neighborhood got it bad.
So I hope it doesn't happen again. You know, we survived it. We lived through it. Our basement is dry now, but it destroyed, like, I read a lot. Not as much as I used to. I used to read a book a day for most of my life. Now my eyes can't take the book a day, so I do maybe a book a week or a book every week and a half. But I had a whole big library that got like totally destroyed with the water.
Ugh, it sucks. Yeah, I mean, even Sandy wasn't that bad.
No,
Sandy was down trees. There was wind damage. There was no power for a week, but there wasn't that much flooding. But this one was just different. Ida was different. Yeah, no one saw it coming. No one.
nope. That just came
Yeah,
out of the blue, and we didn't
yeah.
think much of it.
At least the hurricane's on the radar. You know, it's like, oh, the hurricane's coming from down south. It's doing 100 miles an hour. You know that much at least. But rain, it's within hours that much rain. I mean, there was a planning board meeting that night, and they were like, oh, it's going to rain. And by the end of the meeting, they were stuck at Borough Hall because it flooded downtown. People just had to wait. It sucked.
Yeah, that will be a major challenge for Tenafly and all the people who live in Tenafly to adjust to or deal with that sometime down the line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, one of our council people, Jeff Grossman, his backyard's got the creek. It destroyed half his backyard, and that's only one property with the creek in their backyard. I mean, on Hudson, the creek runs downhill from the nature center. All the rock slides, mud slides, whatever you want to call it. It's bigger than just one property dealing with it. You know, if the guy at the top of the hill doesn't fix his property, the guy at the bottom of the hill gets it the worst. At the bottom, the guy at the bottom of the hill just spent thousands of dollars repairing his thing and got reimbursed by FEMA. I mean, it's a moot point. What are you going to do? And that's where storm management regulations come in, stormwater management regulations come in play. And hopefully it's funded somewhat by the state. Hopefully we can get some things done in town, the major problems, and whatever we can work on and pull resources into, we'll do.
One of the things that inspired this particular show, The Age of Heroes and Path of Public Service, was before the pandemic, when I had the time to come to the mayor and council meetings. During the public comments time, you know, a lot was said that was useful or contributed to everyone's understanding and so forth. But sometimes some people seem to come and just want to yell at the mayor and the council.
They're
And
allowed to. They're allowed to.
they're allowed to.
That.
But it seemed like that was their sole purpose. And they didn't really know anybody on the council. They didn't know what the council did or, you know, what each person's responsibility was, but they felt the need to yell. And I felt that was very unfair because there's a stipend involved in what you guys do, but there's no like huge paycheck. You know, you're not getting mega bucks. You do this out of dedication. And you do it very
I've always thought of the opposite way, Hercules. I thought we were, if you take this seat, it just comes with the territory. You don't get to whine about that. It's just part of it. I've never thought of it as, why do people come here to yell? It's like, oh yeah, just come here to yell. We don't care. Like it.
Okay.
It's part of our job. It's like, it's part of the description. 2 meetings a month, you get yelled at. And like, you have to do this, this, and this. And no, you get yelled at all the time, no matter what. That's just part of it.
Is someone who's not sitting in the chair, it bothered me. So I was trying to think, what can I do? It's like, why don't I create a show about who the people are and, you know, what they're doing, and, you know, just to say personally, thank you for doing it, because I know how much work it is. It's a phenomenal amount of work.
Yeah, but we have the person, all of us just want to do it. We signed up for it. We don't get to complain after signing up about it, you know?
And no one has complained, but
right, exactly.
It's something that I admire all of you for, and I'm very grateful to it.
No, don't be. We signed up for it. We were supposed to take abuse like that. We all knew before we put in that petition. We knew it came with abuse. So it's our own faults, but it's part of the game. It's just part of it. That's it.
In terms of current systems, are there any systems that you would like to improve, like public transportation, for instance? Before, when I lived in Tenafly, there was a lot more public transportation. There was a train, there were buses. Almost every street had a bus going to New York or somewhere else, and that seems to have gone. When I first moved back here, people were talking about it at the mayor and council meetings and other places, but I haven't seen any great movement on that.
So that's what we can control in town, is maybe a bus stop here and there, maybe a bus park and go bus station type of deal, bus stop type of deal. I've kept in touch with a few folks at the state level, seeing what they're doing with their public transportation. Maybe they'll build something up on 9W, a brand new train, or by the PIP. It's out of our control. I mean, unfortunately, every time there's a forum or an outlet for it, I make sure to let the state level folks know what their updates are, and we have to go that route. I mean, New York is doing that stupid ass congestion tax or whatever. Or what,
Really?
like, yeah, it's like, I forgot the numbers, but it was ridiculous expensive to go down south of 86th Street or something. Some congestion tax. Like if you're gonna go drive your car down there, you have to pay a tax, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
ridiculously expensive. So it affects all of us, everyone in Tenafly and the whole state of Jersey who commutes to New York. You know, I mean, public transport's gotta come. It's got to be done right. It's got to be thought out. It's got to be done correctly. And I think it's years away, but we lost the ARC project under Christie. That sucked. And we were close to a new tunnel. And now that we have the build better something bill coming through, I
Mhm.
hope we get our brand new tunnel and maybe a new train line or more buses. I mean, they're trying to revamp the Port Authority building. I don't know where that is anymore. I don't know where the renovations are there. But hopefully better systems come in play.
Because when I was young and I lived here, that was a great thing. I used to ride the bus and then take the train and then go to school. And
The
it was
166,
reliable. Yes, the 166.
the 166, yeah.
I think that one's still around, the 160s, where we had the 84.
Yeah, and
We
then there
had
was the
20.
20,
Yeah,
who was 20? No, Coach? No, Red and Tan was
red and
20?
tan. Yeah, red and
Yeah,
tan.
Red and Tan. Yep, Red and Tan was 20. That one stopped in front of my house. Uh, yeah, and then those bus companies unfortunately went out of business. No one was there to pick up. I mean, I think Rockland might have picked up one of the lines back in the day under Mayor Rustin. He made a call to make sure one of the bus routes got picked up by another company. But yeah, I mean, if we had a smoother, if you look up on Angle Street, everyone parks there for the 166.
Hmm.
If we had a central location somewhere where we can park and ride, maybe that'll help. We'd have to do a study, see if how many folks park up there per day. Is it all Tenafly residents parking up there? I mean, is it folks from north of us, Creskill and whatever? How often do people use the bus stops up on 9W? For the first time in my life, I've been driving 9W 30 some odd years. I saw someone at the bus stop on 9W in
Oh, wow.
Closter or Creskill. I was like, oh, people actually use this to go to the city. If we had a bus stop up there or a parking go up there, would it help with congestion? Would it help with everything? You just got to ask the state to do these studies.
Yeah, I remember the 9W bus when I was late in New York City. Sometimes the 9W bus was the only one that was running like at 1, 2, and 3 in the morning.
Exactly,
I have to
exactly.
walk all the way down the hill and so forth. But it was still it was good that it was there.
Right, exactly. And I haven't taken that bus, and I've never taken that bus, but if it's convenient, let's say you could park your car up there and you knew it was if you knew that you were coming home at 3 a.m. because you had to work late or you were at school late or whatever it was, if you parked your car up there, it'd be so much more convenient.
One more question, and then our conversation is coming to a close. And I really enjoyed this opportunity to talk to you. We don't really get a chance
Absolutely, bud.
very much. The Northern Valley Greenway, before the pandemic, that had a lot of steam, and there were all sorts of meetings and all sorts of things happening and so forth. And the pandemic seems to have squelched that. That would have really changed the whole nature of the Northern Valley.
Yeah, and that's one of the projects I worked with on with the former mayor of Northvale. He had the idea to connect his town to the New York Trail, and I think it's only about 100 or 200 yards from his border. So his idea is, why the hell wouldn't I want to connect to the New York thing to get all the way to the bridge? What's that bridge called now? Cuomo Bridge,
Oh, I
Tappan
don't
Zee
know.
Bridge, the
Yeah,
old Tappan Zee Bridge.
I know it's a Tappan Zee, yeah.
Yeah, I know it as a Tappan Zee too. I don't know why they name changed it. Anyways, he was like, why wouldn't I want my residents to be able to bike up there or bikers to come down to my downtown in Northvale? So he made this big thing about it. He's like, no more trains are running this line. If I connect it to 200 yards, it's nothing to the New York path. I can, and then he was like, why don't I? His idea was, why doesn't it go all the way down to Tenafly? where we voted no for the light rail. And I said, you're absolutely right. Why wouldn't we want a path connecting us to the Tappan Zee Bridge? People bike on 9W in droves and packs, and why wouldn't I want that to go through our downtown where they make stops to buy lunch and do whatever they do when they take rests off their bikes? You can run it. It's a few miles, 7 miles, maybe more. Was it 14 miles to Northvale? Whatever it is. Why wouldn't I want someone to be able to do that? It's phenomenal.
And even though, what do you call it? You're going to say that it's just part of the job and you're going to do it anyway. What would you say your greatest accomplishments were in your 9 years as a council person?
Great question. I've never even thought of that, Hercules. Caught me off guard there. My
Sorry,
greatest accomplishment? I don't know, Hercules.
and I'm sure you've had more than one accomplishment. You're very focused and go get 'em type of individual. So
That's a great question, Hercules. I don't know. There's a few, I guess. We got a lot of things done. Nothing stands out. I don't know. I just like to move on to the next thing after it's done. Nothing sticks out. I mean, we got the community garden. Oh, the rose garden. That's the one.
okay,
The rose garden.
tell us about the rose garden.
That one took forever because all right, so someone passed away in town, and in his deed left us 100 grand dedicated to the rose garden. So we started a trust fund. We put the money in the trust fund, and Rustin and I started making phone calls. Mayor Rustin then started making phone calls looking for a rosarian, a rose expert. And he and I both ran into dead ends. Master gardeners of Bergen County, master gardeners of New Jersey, Rutgers College, Rutgers. It was a nightmare. He made all the phone calls. Finally, he found someone from, I want to say, the Bronx. I forget where he's from. Either some big New York garden, and he said, "Yeah, I can revamp your rose garden for you. All I need is the volunteers to help me out, and I'll teach them. I won't be doing the whole project, but I'll teach your volunteers how to maintain a rose garden." And luckily, we had a very active, very energetic garden club. You might know her, Carol Hodges and her crew.
It says, rings a bell.
Yes, and luckily, the right time, the garden club was coming up with new energy. They were revitalizing themselves. They were very active. They needed a pet project to get to spend their energy on. This Rosarian comes along, says, "Let's buy $40,000 worth of goddamn beautiful roses in multiple colors." He buys them all, start planting at the Davis Johnson Rose Garden. Took about 5 years to find this man. We finally funded it. We had the funding for it, I mean, and we finally got it in the ground. A year later, the volunteers learned how to prune at dawn. They're going up there at 6 in the morning. They're pruning. They're making sure the roses are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't have a green thumb. They know what they're doing. I just use your energy. And a year later, we had our grand opening, and it's phenomenal up there. If you ever get a chance up there to take pictures, it's amazing. It smells amazing up there. It's a great spot now. Yeah, we're trying to maintain it now. I'm trying to find funding sources for maintenance. I think we have a pending fee structure. So if you take your pictures or wedding pictures or do a wedding ceremony up there, that those fees, part of those fees go to the Rose Garden maintenance.
Well, that is incredible. Is this at the nature center or it's
No, Davis Johnson Park, right behind the
David Johnson Park? Okay.
right center of the right off the driveway. And get up there, Hercules, you'll love it. It's phenomenal. Take some pictures up there. The volunteers are goddamn rock stars. They're the best. I can't say enough about those guys.
Dan, thank you so very much. I enjoyed this conversation a great deal. I thank you again, even though it's part of the job. You continue to do an awesome job, and I wish
Thank
you
you.
success in this and all your other endeavors.
Thank you, sir. It was good seeing you, bud.
Be well and take care.
Thanks for this, man. Have a good night.
You too, and thanks to everybody who tuned in. This should be on YouTube by tonight. All goes well. Take care, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Good night.